Ladies, gentlemen, let's have a conversation about Red Dead Online. The game has been out for, well, about 2 weeks now, 3 weeks, and so far the game has been a relatively stable launch. I have been quite surprised with how okay the launch have been in terms of connection, in terms of many things. Sure, at the time of recording, which is on the 16th, there is still some issues in terms of connection and some other funky stuff that sometimes goes on within the game. Personally, I'm mainly talking this from a PvP perspective. I have mainly played this because obviously free roam there's not a whole lot to do, which is one of the things that I want to touch on as well. I want to start off by saying that personally I'm really enjoying Red Dead Online, mainly because I'm playing nothing but Showdown. Although I do feel that Showdown is lacking a lot of maps, and a lot of people are complaining about the fact that they would love to have an option to be able to play all those game modes separately, such as Name Your Weapon and Most Wanted. You know, people really like those modes. Or even someone like Nos, who's very much like, hey, I just want to have some regular, normal team shootout, some team deathmatch, just killing, no other things, and that's it. However, the issue is that if you're like me, personally, I only play Showdown Series Large, so I can avoid having to play Make It Count, because it's a Battle Royale kind of mode, it's very slow, I'm not really a big fan of it. So to avoid that, I play Showdown Series Large. Now the problem is that if you were to split all those modes up in separate playlists, there's going to be one very obvious issue, and that is that there's like 2 or 3 maps for every single mode. Another issue with that too is that they're exactly the same locations as well. Basically what you got is you got a map in Rhodes, in Blackwater, in the oil fields, tall trees, and tumbleweed. Basically 5 locations from the top of my head where you're going to be playing. However, the map of Red Dead Redemption 2 is so big and we only have these locations to play in. And if you compare Showdown Series Large and regular Showdown Series, something like Tumbleweed, which is a very big map, is also playable within 16 players. And it plays a lot different and also a lot slower because there's obviously 16 less players to shoot at. Now if you're in a free-for-all, which is typically what you play on Tumbleweed, this can be relatively okay. It's a bit more peaceful to play, and some say it might even be better. However, the problem is with such a big map is that you're gonna run into the issue with, the pacing of the game kind of suffering from it. So for Showdown Series, I would love it to be able to play in like Armadillo, or like, let's say, another town in New Austin, or like Valentine, or Rhodes, the list goes on. Like quote-unquote urban maps, like Saint-Denis is already like a good solid amount of maps. I've had some very fun matches with Name Your Weapon, and I personally am not really a huge fan of team shootout on there. It's a little bit like, base versus base kind of vibe. And because it's basically a straight line kind of map and there's not really a lot of like lanes going on, and it's basically always head to head and not really a lot of flanking going on. The other version of the Saint-Denis map in Name Your Weapon, however, I'd love to play a team deathmatch in there. But the list kind of goes on in terms of maps. Like maps is something that we're gonna need more, and we're gonna need them quick too. Unfortunately, Rockstar has said that it's not gonna be until early 2019 that we're gonna be seeing new content. And something like adding new maps is probably gonna be something that they really have to prioritize, because, obviously I'm playing this stuff a lot, and so are many other people, while I'm still enjoying playing the modes, because whenever I do play it, I'm on stream, I, have some nice competitive matches because the people that do join do kind of know what they're doing, so it's always kind of close. But even then, I kind of feel like, hey, I would love to be able to play some different maps because there are so many great locations within Red Dead Online that are not tall trees. I repeat, that are not tall trees. That map is awful. Get rid of it. I hate trees. Fuck trees. Fuck it all. I don't want nothing to do with them. They're in the way and they always block my damn shots. But that's basically my main gripe with PvP at this current time. Some more game modes would be nice as well. The Gun Rush game mode that was leaked also sounds very interesting. Hoping that Gun Rush does mean something like Gun Game like you had in GTA Online, that adversary mode. I kind of forgot the name of it, I do apologize, but it would be cool to have like more game modes and especially more maps, like new locations to mess around with. Now stepping away from PvP for a moment and kind of focusing on what else is there in terms of PvP, which is races. Races is something that is relatively okay and can be relatively fun as well. However, outside of races, horses currently don't really have a purpose in my opinion. All you can really do is like have a mode of transportation. And inside races, there doesn't really seem to be much of a purpose in owning like the best horse, because there's some kind of weird mechanic going on where there's like some kind of catch up. It's really annoying and I wish they would just get rid of it. However, in a way it does make sense that it's in the game, but with something like, you know, guns in there, it can get quite interesting, and winning a match can be relatively easy because you just kill 3 guys, you know, make a sprint towards the finish and you're done. I personally don't feel that there's any point for me personally to spend 42 gold bars on a Black Arabian when I already got gifted a Black Chestnut Thoroughbred with my Ultimate Edition. And I feel that a lot of other people are probably suffering from the same thing, and especially PS4 players who are able to get a Red Chestnut Arabian, there's not really any point in purchasing another horse unless you're going for the Platinum Trophy or for the achievements where you have to buy and own 5 horses. So what I personally would love to see is to see more PvP modes that involve your horse. So that way, outside of free roam, having a good horse and having to spend time and money inside of that horse with the bonding and all those things would have more purpose and more meaning rather than just basically being something you use to go from A to B. And typically, I'm not really someone that plays a whole lot of free roam because guess what? There's not a lot of things to do in free roam at this current time. What I personally would love to see is more PvE content, and PvE, with that I mean players versus everyone. Basically, missions, things against AI opponents. Not everyone is a huge fan of PvP within the game, but they love playing missions, and unfortunately at this current time there's only 8 missions. Now, looking back at GTA Online's launch, for example, I don't know precisely how much missions there were, and it's not really relevant either, just precisely how much there were. But there were definitely a whole lot more than 8 missions within the online component. And it just feels like the GTA Online's component was much more thought out and much more, I guess in a way, cared about versus Red Dead Online's multiplayer. Red Dead Online's multiplayer kind of feels more like a fan service versus like, you know, something that Rockstar really wants to implement in a way. Because yes, it's very obvious that Red Dead Online should have launched with a lot more content. What we currently have doesn't really offer a complete package for everyone. Personally, I'm enjoying the game, I'm enjoying a lot of aspects of the game, and I see how much potential there is inside of the game as well. However, when I see that Rockstar makes the decision to not add any new content until early 2019, it kind of breaks my heart, because the game has been released at the end of November. We're now in week 3 or 4 of the game's launch, and while there's many things that are being fixed and many things are being rebalanced, it wouldn't hurt to at least have a couple of extra maps within the game. And I don't know anything about game development or anything like that. I do know, and I can assume, that around this time a lot of devs are leaving for Christmas, which makes complete sense. Obviously, you know, they're still human and they're still more than welcome to just, you know, go spend time with their family. However, I do feel like that on Rockstar's management, I guess, department, they should have thought about having some more, even small things in terms of content kind of rolling out as they're trying to fix things too. Because at this moment in time, there's a lot of people that are probably feeling the same way as me, I guess. There needs to be especially more PvE content. More missions, more things that players who don't like to play PvP, that have something to do. And with that, obviously, also things to quote-unquote grind for, like go for, objectives, cool things to unlock. There are currently people that already reached rank 100, and while yes, that is something that is some people that who have way too much free time and probably should have just, you know, slowed down a lot more. After rank 100, there doesn't really seem to be anything to go for anymore, and while rank 100 does take a while to get to, at one point there's going to be a host of people that are going to start getting towards the rank 100 goal. And is it going to be something like in GTA Online that after rank 120 there's nothing to unlock anymore, and rank is just a constant reminder that you spend way too much time on this certain video game? I personally would love Rockstar to see them learning from that quote-unquote mistake in GTA Online and keep giving players stuff to go towards and keep rewarding them for putting time and effort within the game. Because currently, especially with the microtransactions now being added, there doesn't seem to be much of a purpose in going for certain things. Personally, what I'm kind of have made my goal in terms to keep the game fresh and interesting for me in PvP is by trying out new weapon setups. I personally have been loving going around with dual wield shotguns. It's a lot of fun. Just simply getting close to someone and start going ba 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 for like 4 shots with the sawn-offs is a lot of fun. However, again, this is not something that literally everyone enjoys. It's just something that I personally thought, hey, that would be a fun thing to do, to kind of start messing around with different kinds of setups in terms of weapons. But that's basically the only thing that you can kind of do in terms of PvP right now. You kind of have to make up your own goals and make up your own ideas in terms of things to do, because the packages that's been provided so far doesn't really allow you to do anything else. And I'm sure the Rockstars are working very hard on providing that kind of content, and I have good faith in them. And I want to remind people about one thing as well, is that if you look at the launch of GTA Online and how long it took until we got some actual proper, very solid gameplay and very solid DLC, that didn't really come until the highest update in March 2015. And Rockstar has definitely learned from that, I'm sure. And they definitely know that, you know, as they keep, extending this period of no new content, people are going to leave more and more. Because a while ago at this point, they mentioned that throughout GTA Online's life cycle, the very first couple of months, more and more players kept leaving. And I'm pretty sure that's the same thing that's going on right now. And a lot of people are obviously giving Rockstar shit for the fact that they've added microtransactions while there's not really much content to even, use that gold for if you were to purchase it. Obviously, this is just a business move to give people the opportunity to purchase gold with their Christmas money. It is what it is. It's a business move. GTA Online did kind of the same thing whenever the launch of it was still relatively rocky, but was like stable enough for it to run. Obviously, there was not a beta tag on there. GTA Online should probably have like an alpha tag on there when it comes to that launch, because, oh boy, we remember that one. That's a certain kind of trauma you will never forget, but moving on from that. But they added those microtransactions relatively quickly as well, obviously too, before the holidays were rolling around. Personally, I don't care too much about microtransactions, as I probably mentioned a couple of times before, but I feel like Red Dead Online has a shit ton of potential. It's just unfortunately a matter of time until we start seeing that implement within the game. But again, that means one thing and one thing only. Because we're still in this beta period, make sure to submit all your feedback to Rockstar themselves on reddeadonline.com/feedback. There's a link in the description as well where you can submit all your feedback too, because there is still plenty of time to submit that feedback and get that in so Rockstar can implement it within the game. Anyways, enough ranting about that. That's just kind of how I personally feel about it right now. I feel that I'm still having a lot of fun with the game. I still actively play it. I still enjoy myself, but as time goes on, and obviously, even though I'm enjoying it, I do see a lot of the problems with the game, and I kind of felt like, let's just throw it out there, just tell everyone how I feel, because obviously a lot of you still see me play the game a lot, but we always discuss this on stream, right? There needs to be more PvP content, there needs to be this, there needs to be that, and it's always good to open up a discussion with everyone and say, hey, how do you feel? So, tell me, how do you feel? Put it down in the comments down below. I'm looking forward to hear everyone's thoughts. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and I'll see you all later.